not late. I had to start the thing, didn't I? Someone had to. So clearly I'm not late. Hello, Allie. Netterino, brushstrokes, skip. Getting to watch it live. I've watched every podcast episode live. I have literally all 102 episodes up to this point. I have watched live. I've never missed a podcast episode. That will probably change when eventually I will have somebody guest host this show, because I'll be out on vacation and I won't watch that until the VOD. So somebody can take that streak from me if they want. That'll be a while from now. Hosted on vacation? Well, the last time I took a vacation was during the Elite Four thing. Where I was like, oh, I should make an episode on Monday talking about that Elite Four thing, but I waited till I got back on Thursday. Almost did. This is going to be an amazing podcast. I think so too. I'm excited about this one. Sometimes I write a podcast and I'm like, yeah, I'm not super invested in this, but I know some of the people that are listening to it will be. This is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, I'm super invested into this. Popcast on tour. When I get a sponsor, we'll go on tour. Okay. Blue glaucuses is the pronunciation I wrote down here. Glaucuses. Glaucuses. Tukey, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Hello, Genesis. Pixel, I don't forget to take sips. I never forget a sip. Glaucuses, that's correct? Okay, cool. That's what I heard Brush and Falco saying. I went back and listened to their pronunciations. So if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong with I'm a part of a group that is wrong. I'm not in the minority. But it turns out I'm right, as usual. Blouses. Google. Wow. What the heck is that thing? What the heck is that? Okay. I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what a blue glaucus is. What the heck is that thing? That thing did not come from this planet. That thing did not originate from this planet. There's no way. That came here on like a meteor. Like when aliens enslaved the planet many years ago. That was like the pet they brought along with them or something that just stuck around. There's no way that thing evolved from whatever on this planet. That is from another galaxy. You kidding me? Same thing with elephants. You can't sit here and tell me elephants like evolved on this planet. No, elephants are alien species. Have you seen those things? Giraffes are kind of sus, but I'm willing to believe that giraffes are weird, are true. What else? But yeah, the elephants are definitely not native to planet Earth, and I'm pretty sure that blue glaucus thing I just looked at is not even. I've seen that thing in my nightmares. Glaucuses are inherently blue, so it's redundant. Yeah, I get that. It makes sense. Yeah, it's not like the rare version, it's just the glaucus. You know, it'd be, oh, there's a red glaucus. No, it's just a glaucus. I don't know, I feel like there's other animals that are like that. Not that I can think of. Feather star crinoid. Well, Allie, when somebody called the feather star crinoid wins a little squid league, I'll look that up. An orange tiger. Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, like, tiger, there's so many different colors of tigers, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like there are no, like, this is an orange tiger. I think it's just tiger is inherently orange, and then the Siberian tiger is white or silver or something like that. Alright, that's enough glaucusing for today. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you're complaining about your opponent sharking in a Turf War tournament, deciding now who your Gen 9 starter is going to be, mine personally is going to be the Donald Duck one, trying to play in the Nintendo Turf War tournament as a team of two, whatever it is that you're doing right now. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Hey, I have a special congratulations that we as a community need to give out here. If we could get a round of applause in chat for Nintendo for going through an entire tournament with no crazy shenanigans happening. Congratulations, Nintendo. You accomplished something that most 14-year-old TOs in this community can pull off. A tournament that is scot-free of random bullcrap. Congratulations. You finally did it! I mean, yeah, there was the team that tried to play with only 2 players. That's hilarious. I guess the only noteworthy thing to come out that I saw on Twitter is apparently Cherry Limeade just beat that ass twice. I don't know who it is that they beat, but somebody apparently wasn't happy about it, and that makes me happy when somebody who does things kind of off meta-ish is able to beat a team that does do things meta-ish. I have no idea what the meta for Turf War is, but hey, I'm glad. Hats off to Cherry Limeade for making somebody angry because you beat them twice. We take that. Now, the backpacks and all the prizes that are being sent out to those teams, good luck. I mean, Starburst, you're just going to put that backpack next to the other 20 you got. I don't think it really matters for them. I don't think anyone's gotten their gaming chairs yet. Is that a fact? Are teams still waiting on their gaming chairs from last summer? So hopefully whatever prizes you won this past tournament that you get those at some point, when it's, maybe you're still in school by the time you actually get it. And there's no more, there's no spelling things. I don't think they put the names on the backpack, so we can't get any Starbust or Arctic Moon stuff. So the margin of error here for Nintendo is very low. There's very little they could screw up at this point, but the likelihood of it happening versus it not happening, I guess, is still a factor you need to consider. But congratulations, Nintendo. You got through it. News of tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener to the podcast. There is another Nintendo tournament in 2 weeks. Again. And it's Turf War. And it's not on the weekend this time around, but it's on Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, March the 11th. Okay. What? Look, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is very weird. They announced this one like a week after they announced the one that happened last week. Before that one happened, it's just like, oh, hey, we decided we want to do another one before this one's even over. And we're going to do it 2 weeks later. Like, what? Like, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. And if you're a TO in this community that's been carrying this scene for Nintendo, you would like to have some sort of like heads up, because who knows? They might just we might announce Low Ink tomorrow, and then they just go, oh yeah, we're going to do another Turf War tournament on Low Ink, which is fine. We've run Low Ink versus Nintendo tournaments before and have done just fine. Again, Nintendo does a lot to bring in new people to the scene, so Nintendo tournaments are good. It's just they just pull these tournaments out of their butt and just present them to us. Like, hey, we're doing a Friday night one now. Okay, cool. Thanks, I guess. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. I would assume there's more to come. Man, they really love Turf War. They're really driving home that Turf War point. If you want to do an actual legit tournament, Squidboards is hosting a tournament the Saturday right after the next Nintendo tournament. Squidboards is March the 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't quote me on this, but I think the format changed. I don't think it's Swiss anymore. It might still be. It might be groups. I don't know. We'll look more into that coming up, because that is something Destiny Troops will be interested in for sure. That one will not be in the IPL server, but it will be streamed by IPL. So if you want more information about the Squidboards, you need to go to the Squidboard Discord server, or maybe the Squidboards website, which is what the Squidboards came from. What the whole point of Squidboard tournament series was. My body's exploding again. Today, we are recapping Little Squid League 19 and some other tournaments that happened from the past weekend. Briefly discuss the results of the Nintendo tournament SAC that happened last Saturday as well. Just not enough interesting things happened in that particular SAC tournament for me to do a whole segment on. But and the final 8 standings haven't been announced yet. I'm sure if I had enough time, I could have gone down and like calculated what the top 8 would be based off of the final results. But I'd rather wait for the official one just to see. But I feel like the top 8 that I predicted is already kind of broken, considering I think Bean Tycoon kind of stole a spot from someone. But we'll get into that in the weekly recap. But first, I got a DM last night from a newerish team that's trying to figure out like where they stand in the competitive scene. They're a Div 8 team, and they DM'd me. It was like, hey, we did really well in Div 8, but we don't really know like how good we actually are, because we know we got underseeded in that Ludi's div, so we don't really know how good we actually are. And what they did was they told me their league results. They're like, here's our peak in league. Like, here's the teams we've beaten in league. And, we feel like we're around this kind of level because we've beaten these teams in league before. Like, what are your thoughts on that? I guess they saw that I was a member of the seating council and was just curious about that. So it's, if any of you got DM'd that, of course you would roll your eye. League peak? Really? But I mean, you got to understand, if you're new to the competitive scene, all you have to go off on to judge how good you are as a team and as a player are the features that are in the game. I was the same way. When I first got into competitive, I met K-Bot literally the day later. At a local in Columbus. He was hosting just like a Splatoon meetup, and I met him there, and I was like, hey, my team got like 2,200 in league last night. Could you kind of give us a sense of how good we actually are? And he was like, no, nobody cares about league in competitive Splatoon. And for good reason. If you just look at X rank, like X rank numbers in general, they're so not true as to how good or bad you actually are at the video game, because X rank is not competitive Splatoon. It's not. It's just a giant free-for-all that's just a broken mess to kind of use to measure how good you are at the game. You don't know what maps you're going to be playing on. You get to select your weapon ahead of time, and there's 2 maps that are going to like be picked. You don't know which map it's going to be until the game actually starts. You have no idea who is in your lobby. You have no idea who's on your team and who you're playing against until like the match actually starts. You'll find out instantly who your teammates are, what your comp is, and then a few frames later, you find out who you're playing against and what their comp is, and then you got like 2 seconds and the game instantly starts. That's how long it takes to process all of that nonsense. If you're an anchor player, you're just begging, please just give me one Slayer. Just give me one Slayer and I'll do the rest. But no, if you're an anchor player, you're probably getting stuck with if you're a Splatling main, you're getting stuck with a Charger on your teammate against 2 Chargers on the opposite team. If you're a Charger, you're getting a Splatling as your teammate, and you both hate each other because you're both competing for those traditional anchor spots. And some people have kind of pointed out, you get a little aggressive with your Hydra pop gun. Yeah, because if I don't, I'm going to be stuck bumping elbows with the E-leader that got stuck in the same lobby as me for the same spots that we both know are good spots to kind of camp out at for a little bit before you move up with the objective or whatever. You can lose points. Like, you can be the best player in the lobby. And if you're a competitive player, the odds are most of the time you are the best player in the lobby. You're still going to lose. There's still some situations to get set up to where you just can't win. No matter, I wouldn't say no matter what you do, but you can have godly performances and still fail miserably and lose a ton of points because of it, because you get put in a lobby that, quite frankly, you have no business being in, because X rank is just so widely vast. On the flip side, and this happened to me over the weekend, if there's a DC on the other side There was a team that spawned with only 2 players. They literally just spawned with just 2 players, and I had all 4. We didn't even play the game. We just squid partied when we KO'd them without getting a single splat. I got 30 points for that. I got 30 points for just hitting the A button. So me just hitting the A button at the right time and got lucky to get a DC 30-point win is going to set me up for a better rotation than somebody who played the entire rotation and only came out with a net positive of like 2. So it doesn't, it's not a good indicator of how good or bad you actually are. And not knowing what maps you're going to play really sucks, because if it's like Rainmaker and one of the maps is Piranha Pit, not a competitive map, but Stingray's broken there. On the flip side, the other map is Moray Towers. Stingray's kind of trash there. So it's like, okay, are you going to use C-Jet? Because you can kind of make C-Jet work on Moray Towers, but it's like you might want to do something different if you knew Moray was the one that was coming up. So it's just a broken mess. League is the same exact thing. And what I explained to this person who DM'd me last night is, like, you do realize, okay, you said you beat this team in a league. You do realize that team doesn't care, and I guarantee you they were not actually trying hard. I don't know about you guys, but there are some times where like my team wants to do like a try hard league session, but like 90% of the time we're just doing it just to like warm up or test out new weapons or just mess around until we find a scrim and we can stop doing league. It's very rare that we play league to get a score. For like competitive players, yeah, it's just, league is just what you do to waste time until something actually fun kind of pops up there. So to like sit here and say you beat a team in league, it's like, who cares? Like, I can sit here and say that I have beaten Starburst in league. That has happened before. But if it was a competitive tournament, I'm lucky to last past the first minute against them. It's not the same thing at all. It's absolutely not. So but if you just play the game and you don't know the competitive scene actually exists, that's your only 2 things you have. That's it. That's all you have to gauge yourself. Oh, hey, we got the number 1 in the world in league. And, I'm 2,500 in X rank. That means I'm really, really good. And I can just walk into competitive and just be a Div 2 player or something like that. No, unfortunately, because the Nintendo ranking system is kind of poo-poo, that is not at all the case. So since this happened last night, perfect timing. I reached out to that team and I said, hey, have you heard of this thing called Sendouq? And they said no. And I was like, oh boy, you are in for a special treat, because this is the best thing to ever happen to competitive Splatoon. It flat out is. We've had a lot of really great things. The rise of low ink, majors, lands. None of them are going to top what this Sendouq thing is going to be. If you haven't played it yet, I'm assuming that everyone in chat has at least heard of Sendouq. If you haven't, why are you watching me? I'm such a very, my target audience is competitive Splatoon players. If you have no idea what Sendouq is and you're watching this, thank you for watching, but I have no idea how you found me, or why you care what I have to say. To be honest, appreciate your viewership anyways. But if you haven't done it yet, I'm not going to sit here and show you like the website and the process and how that's done, because it's literally changing every day. Every time you wake up, there's some new feature. It's in the beta stages right now, so there's a lot of things to get figured out. 3 days ago, sets were best of 9. Now they're best of 7. Before, people's MMR was in the negatives, and now it's SP, I guess Splatoon power. I thought it was Sendouq power. Like you start off with 1,000 now, so like it's constantly changing. You can now invite people directly with a link instead of just having them click up the thing. So I'm not going to show you guys the site because if you're watching this like a day later, what I show you might not even be the same thing you're looking at anymore. So let me just say this: if you haven't done it yet, go to Sendouq.inc, click on the Sendouq button, and just go through it yourself. My first experience. I tweeted out the picture of me, like old man, trying to figure out how to go through Sendouq. That was 100% legit. The first time I did it, I was so confused with how it was all set up. It's user friendly, it really is. But the first time going through, when you just heard about it from rumors from other people, you don't really know what to expect. So I hop in and I'm just looking at it, and I'm just like, oh. Hey, Allie is playing. I'm friends with Allie. Let me click up. Oh, wait, no. Allie's now in the column that says group up with somebody else. Oh, that means they're already in a group, so they don't want to play with me. Okay, I get that. No, actually, it turns out the group up section means they are literally asking you directly to play with you. And I didn't realize that at the start. And I was like, how do I actually form teams with people? And then I got into the match with Allie, and she was just like, dude, get in the Sendouq server. This is where the VC and all the voice chat happens. And I'm like, oh. And then it just instantly clicked. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. After my first match, which I think we lost, I realized this is the best thing ever. And I highly encourage all of you to go do this tonight. Get on Sendouq and just queue up and just play a match, and you will instantly understand, along with me, how this is going to change everything. I'm not going to give feedback on the thing right now. Again, it's in beta. It's constantly changing. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about all the things I liked and disliked about it because, again, 2 days from now, it might just be completely different. I will say this, though. The map pool sucks. The map pool is just flat out bad. If you can get queued up in a best of 7 match and play maps that you have probably never seen in competitive Splatoon in the past year and a half, I have no idea where these maps came from, and I do not support a lot of these maps being used in any kind of competitive setting at all. We are, as a community, have been getting to this point to where we're limiting the map pool so that we can focus on just a few specific maps. I think in Low Ink we have like 20, we bust out 23 every single month, but we only take out like a few maps every now and then. So there's maybe like 27 maps that we pick from in Low Ink, but we only use 23 at a time because there's not that many maps. In Clan Blitz, I will argue there's only 6 maps that you can use in competitive. Rainmaker, I can argue there's only 6 you can use. There's like 8. I think there's 9 Clan Blitz maps in rotation. Clan Blitz at Wahoo, Tower Control at Humpback, Tower Control at Muscle Forge Fitness, Clan Blitz at Muscle Forge Fitness. I mean, there's... And don't even get me started on Splat Zones at Triggerfish. I know some of you will go in chat and say, Splat Zones at Triggerfish is really good at forcing you to learn how to play with your teammates. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. The problem is that map is a spawn camping nightmare. Are you kidding me? It is next to Walleye Warehouse. What is the next worst map for spawn camping? Splat Zones at Camp Triggerfish. If I get my Hydra on that catwalk and I got all my other teammates like blocking you as soon as you get out of that spawn and you don't have the right weapons to deal with that, you lose. You instantly lose. So don't sit here and tell me Splat Zones at Camp Triggerfish is a good map. It's not. All of you, if you're telling me it's a good map, you either main Tint or Xplosh. Okay, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Yes, it promotes practicing with your teammate. Yeah, I get that. The map itself sucks. Okay, no cap. Don't. We're not having that conversation. But my point being is, if we're trying to practice certain maps, the map pool should be limited. We shouldn't be trying to find new ways to bring maps back into the map pool. We need to be finding ways to keep the limited maps that we have, and keep them the way that they are. We don't need to be adding in more things that we need to practice. And look, I can't speak for all of IPL, but I'll say this: for low ink, we're not using those maps. Those bad maps in Sendouq. I don't care what top level player is going to try to brainwash you into thinking that they're good or not. We're not using those maps. I'm not forcing low ink teams to practice maps that they're not going to use anywhere else. Dapple Productions doesn't use those maps. Ludi doesn't use those maps. The other IPL tournaments don't use those maps. Riptide, Low Tide City, they don't use those maps. I'm not forcing a low ink team to practice maps they're not going to use. I'm not. It's unfair to them to do that. And in the past, low ink did have some really bad map lists. That is true. I won low ink on Clan Blitz at Moray Towers. I have never played Clan Blitz at Moray Towers in competitive Splatoon since then. That was 2 years ago. There's no reason to practice those kinds of things. I don't know. No, I'm just assuming the map list for Low Tide City. I honestly don't know what they are. I just actually Kraken Mayor is one of the head TOs for that, so there's probably going to be something stupid popping up in there now that I think about it. The match dodging thing, I'm not going to get into that here. I have takes on it, and if you've listened to past episodes of the Popcast, which I know you have, it's not. You probably could guess what my take on the matchmaking dodging thing is, but I'm not going to get into it here. But my point is, I will say this though: if you are, yes, like if you want to get better at the game, playing teams that are better than you obviously is how you get better. But how you get better is by playing against teams that are like the next step above you. Like, if anybody's coming after low ink teams for dodging FT win, I'm sorry, that's not good practice for anybody. I will say this, though. I played last night with some friends. I played against Shinex and Twig, and they beat the crap out of us. And we played with my actual team. We played against Legend and Legend, Muty, and Shadowwind. And they beat the crap out of us too, but it was still, that's still good practice for us. I'll admit that, because of where we stand in the scene, that's good practice for us. And I will say this, I didn't lose any points by losing to those guys. I literally lost nothing. I was at like 110 when we played the Legend and Friends, and I was still at like 110 afterwards. So like, I don't know how the matchmaking works point wise, but they were so far above us, we literally lost no points. So it wasn't like if you want, let's dodge these guys so that we can keep our MMR. No, you don't really. At least in my case, that formula could be changed, but in those instances, I didn't lose anything. So it wasn't really like, let's dodge these guys to get a higher score. No, it was still a good situation. But I will say this, and I respect those two teams we played for beating the crap out of us, because that's what you want. If you play a team that's better than you, you want them to use their mains. You want them to build comps to expose all your weaknesses. You want them to beat the crap out of you, because that's how you get better. Let me explain getting better. You want to play against somebody who's going to beat you, because when you do what you normally do, again, if you play your same play style, and it always works against low ink teams, because low ink teams can't figure out how to beat it. But then you play against somebody who shows you how your comp can be easily broken and defeated. That's how you force to get better, because you're like, okay, now we got to adjust to what that other team is doing, because they're exposing our flaws here. But if the other team comes off of their mains and they start using, I saw somebody post this on Twitter, we beat a team using quad charter. Oh my gosh, what is your point? What are you trying to prove? Are you trying to help that other team get better, or are you just trying to embarrass them to see how much you can meme just to defeat them in a match? Like, that's not helping anybody. So my point is this: if you're a high-level player and you're constantly tweeting out about how people shouldn't be scared to play you and calling them pussies like some people were on Twitter, use your main to beat the dog crap out of that team. If you guys meme on your opponent, you're not helping them get better, you're just embarrassing them and you're discouraging them from playing. So please, if you're asking teams to respect the opponent both ways. If you're asking people to play you seriously, you should play them just as seriously and beat them until their knuckles bleed, or your knuckles bleed, I guess. That's the benefit of this. It goes both ways. So other than that, I guess I have nothing else to say about match dodging. How are things going to change though? Because again, I'm saying this is the future. So here we go. We're going to predict 3 things that are going to happen in the future, in a non-select time of the future, as while this Sendouq queue thing is going to change things. First off, the Plus servers are going to lose their clout. They're not going to die off. They're just going to lose their prestige. Do any of you care about being in a Plus server right now? Now, if you're in like a +1, if you're in +1, which Shaq was, when I had Shaq on the Popcast, he said +1's been existing forever. It just wasn't a public thing. That will probably still kick around, and 2 and 3 will kick around as well. But now there's no point for a +4 to come into existence, because this is plus everything. Everybody can play in this. I've never wanted to be in midpoint or +3, and I've been asked, hey, can I vouch you? And I turn them down all the time, because I don't want to be sit here and judged by other people on a monthly basis and worry about, oh, is my voting percentage going to fall because I didn't play in enough tournaments? Or, oh, all these people in Europe, they don't know who I am, so they're not going to plus vote me or anything like that. No, I don't have to worry about that right now, because that same practice that people wanted to get out of the Plus servers is now here for everybody to use in a better format. I don't have to do splat zones only scrims against people that aren't V-scene. Well, I mean, I guess you're still going to play against people that aren't V-scene, but you still have more control over who you play with across the entire scene, slightly control against who you go up against. And that's just infinitely better than anything the Plus servers have to offer. And you don't have to sit here and worry about, oh, I need to play with that person because they downvoted me so I can prove to them how good I am or beat them or something like that. You don't need any of that stuff anymore. The votings are gone. So here's what I want to know. And I did 15 matches this past weekend, and I talked to a lot of different people, and I didn't hear a single person say, oh, I'm doing a Plus scrim later, or, oh, I'm going to be leaving this to go do a Plus server scrim. I don't think there are doing Plus server scrims, at least for the last weekend when this first came out, but I genuinely don't think the Plus servers are going to be a thing people are going to care about anymore. If you're in +3, at this point, it's just because you can say you're in +3. That's it, right? Because all the practice you can get is now better in the Sendouq queue. It is. It's just better. Now, that's not to say scrims in general are going to die off. Because people were kind of saying the Sendouq queue, it's not results, it's a scrim. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't really count these matches as like scrims, because you are gaining point. There is technically something on the line, and plus there's no, like, whenever my team scrims, we redo every map, because again, we're learning maps to get better at them. But these are best of 7. You lose it's basically a set. Is it like a competitive set that you can use as results? I'm not convinced that it is just yet, but I don't think it counts as a scrim. I think it's a little bit above a scrim. But you're still going to see like teams scrim. It's just not going to be as common as it is anymore, or as it was. So my first prediction is that the Plus servers are going to take a step back, and I think the vast majority of the community is going to applaud that, because basically the resources are open for everyone now. High level, here's my next prediction. High level is going to start complaining about launch point. Nobody cared about launch point. Everybody loved launch point. Oh, it's cool that low level has this thing that they can play in now. But what have we constantly seen whenever there's a low level tournament going on around the same time as a major? Oh, how come these teams are playing in this low level tournament instead of playing in this tournament? The only way you get better is getting stomped by FT1. No. So you're going to start seeing this, because I think launch point is going to stick with launch point. I feel like until more low-level teams start playing in the Sendouq queue, that it's going to it's going to be more widespread. Launch point is dead? No, I don't think you pay attention to launch point if you think it's dead. That's not true. But I think you're going to see more people kind of dip their toes into the Sendouq thing, and that's going to make it a little bit more inviting for more low-level teams to come out and play, and then they'll get to play more midpoint. But I think for at least initially, launch point players are going to stay in launch point because they've had this kind of system already for over a year now, which is going to lead to more people in high level saying, oh, launch point people are scared to come out and see things like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw people suddenly start coming after launch point for some reason. The other thing I want to predict here, MMR, or I guess it's SP. What does SP stand for? Is it Splatoon Power or Sendouq Power? This is, and I don't agree. I don't think this is particularly a good thing, but I know it's going to happen, and you guys know it's going to happen too. But the SP, your Splatoon Power, is going to become the most important stat in this scene. It's going to become the most important stat in this scene. Now, if you are an established player, if you have clout and people know who you are, your Sendouq Power doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If Keo queues up with a Sendouq Power of 900, who cares? Everyone knows Keo is one of the best players in this whole scene. It doesn't really matter. Here's the problem, though. If you're a new player, if you're a player that nobody's heard of, and you're trying to make a name in this scene, you're going to get judged on your SP because that's all you have. That's all you have to go off of. If all you have is just a low SP, how is anybody going to like know how good you actually are? So that's why there's going to be more pressure on some of these low level and mid level players that don't have a lot of like Twitter followers and people don't really know who they are. They need to get a higher SP so that people will start taking them seriously. And that's what's going to that's what's going to establish people going forward. And I'm not sitting here saying I agree with that because again, any kind of ranking system does have a little bit of issue with it to some extent. It's not a totally accurate representation of who's better than who, but we all know how we like to individualize ourselves in this scene. Before, it was what div you were, and you put your div in your bio, and that's who you were forever. And then it was what plus server you're in. And then it's like, oh, I got 10 more plus server voting points than last month. That means I'm 10% better than what I was last month. Now it's going to be people posting what their power is. This is how we're going to define ourselves going forward. For better or for worse. And now here's the question I have. Skill cap tournaments. Do you care? Like, if you're Little Squid League or your Minnow Cup or your Low Ink, do you care what someone's results in this thing are? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And it's going to be... It's going to be weird. The one thing you cannot do, no TO can do this. You can't sit here and say if your SP is above this point that you're banned from this tournament and anyone below this point is going to be allowed it. You can't do that because you talk about match dodging. There are going to be people that intentionally throw to lower their SP and people that will stop. Okay, 1,100 means I'm banned from Low Ink. I got 1,090. I'm just going to stop playing Sendouq. I'm not going to touch Sendouq until I win Low Ink. That is 100% going to happen. That's why you can't have like a set X rank or league power or anything like that. Just divs that can be updated kind of regularly are like the set standard for something like that. But still, like, you can't really go through and look at results and like, oh, these guys beat that team in a best of 7, but like that person queued up with like 3+2 players. So like, did they get carried or was the other team trying? Like, there's so much to juggle within that. It's really confusing how the Sendouq thing today is going to affect skill cap tournaments. I just wanted to point that out, that it's like, we're aware of that. It's just, I can't see this. I can't see anybody getting barred for Sendouq. And that's why I say this is like above a scrim, but it's not like actual, it's not actual results. TOs still care about one thing. What results do you get in tournaments? And that's why I'm sitting here thinking like, this is more fun than a tournament, right? Like this is just a speed ladder that never ends. Like that's awesome. But as far as like actual results go, none of these Sendouq things are ever going to hold more value than a placement in a tournament. At least I don't think it is. I think tournament placements are still going to be the key thing that we all use, but it's just more fun to play in this than in tournament right now. My point is this, overall, Sendouq Q is awesome. This thing is awesome. It's awesome in the beta stage. Imagine how awesome it's going to be going forward. The only problem with it is that we're the only ones that know about it. Like the competitive scene's the only one that knows about it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is it cool that this is our exclusive club that only us know about? Or would it be a lot better if like those, the people that are interested in competitive or don't know how to get into competitive, like if they could join the Sendouq queue and get a taste for that as well, which is why that team that DM'd me last night, I was like, don't do League going forward. The next time you guys try to do League, do Sendouq queue. This is going to be a lot better. You're going to enjoy this a lot better. And hopefully some of those people, some of those solo queue warriors, you guys know like Love Star, like the Dapples player, who like, I think I found their YouTube channel, but like you can't find them on Discord or anything like that. Like that person's just going to queue up for solo queue and it's just going to be like a desert. It's like, where did all my friends go? Where did they go? Like, how can we let Love Star know that Sendouq Q is a thing now? Like, people who don't follow certain people on Twitter aren't going to know this is a thing. If this was a feature in the game, man, if Nintendo were to reach out to Sendouq Q and be like, hey, can we figure out how to get this into Splatoon 3? Oh my gosh, this scene would frickin' explode like nothing else. This is the best thing ever. More people need to know about this. And hopefully, if it gets so big that we're seeing like hundreds of people sign up and play and in the queue and you don't have to sit around and wait. All right, am I going to play this team that's 500 points above me, or am I going to wait for 30 minutes for a team that's only 200 points above me or 300 points below me or something like that? That would just be awesome. I'm excited about this thing. This is the future. We live in a pretty good timeline, don't we? And hey, I've always said this. We need to build the infrastructure now. You can't just sit around and wait for Splatoon 3 to come in and save us. We need to fix everything now so when Splatoon 3 comes out, we can just hit the ground running. I didn't think this was going to be, this wasn't what I was referring to, but this is better than what I could have possibly dreamed of as somebody who loves the competitive scene here. We're in good hands going forward, guys. This is the golden age. It wasn't quite an hour, but we did 40 minutes. We got to get to Little Squid League at some point. But to get to that, we got to blaze through the weekly recap. Nintendo hosted their Turf War tournament this past weekend. And it's a good thing when Nintendo is hosting a tournament and I'm only talking about it in the weekly recap instead of doing a whole 30-minute segment talking about how ridiculous it was. Grand prize went to Starburst, excuse me. First prize went to Maelstrom. And two teams tied for second prize, I guess, or they both got second prize. One of them was called Super Poop. And the other one half cup cookie dough. Okay. You should, I guess we should all just be happy nobody named themselves something like Lean or something like that. I'll take Super Poop over that any day of the week. I don't really get, I guess like two teams were supposed to get that because Super Poop had one more win than one half cup cookie dough did. But Starburst went undefeated and winning their grand prize, surprising nobody there. SAC qualifier number 4 took place on Sunday or Saturday, roughly the same time. And I saw some team played in both. Some team was doing Turf War sets while they were waiting for the next round of Swiss to start in SAC. Kind of hilarious, but I would assume that team might have showed up a little bit too late for one of these SAC tournaments because they're very strict on their time limit there. SAC qualifier number 4 was won by 4 Beans, taking down Raccoon Soup. And Bean Tycoon coming out of nowhere to finish in 3rd place in this one. I said Bean Tycoon probably wasn't going to make top 8 because the last time my team played them, they dropped out of bronze bracket because one of their players was taking a shower instead of playing the tournament. So I was like, all right, I don't think they're taking this crazy seriously, even though I know they're really good. And they finished in 3rd place here. They might have stolen a spot in the top 8. Last I checked last night, the standings hadn't been updated with the results of the 4th tournament, so I don't know what the official top 8 is going to be. I will point out that Tempest did not play in this tournament, probably because they didn't have to. They're already in the top 8. I've kind of pointed out Tempest and Raccoon Soup didn't have to play at all because they were mathematically guaranteed a spot, so they skipped this tournament and will be in top 8. They won't be like the highest seed. Like their seed will be like 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. But I don't think they really care. They're still going to be the top dog that people got to deal with. It's going to come down between 4 Beans, Raccoon Soup, and Tempest for whoever takes gold. But that's going to be your top 3 teams in the qualifier, I would assume. Layer Cake 2 took place on Wednesday in place of SOS. That did not happen because it's the last Wednesday of the week. So Layer Cake took its spot. Typhoon won in surprising fashion, knocking off Black Magic in the finals there. Not 2 teams I was expecting to make the finals of that tournament, but so be it. Typhoon ended up winning that one there. And Black Magic, again, constantly improving. I was surprised Cascade Duck Crew was able to beat them in that Ludi set because I knew Black Magic was really good, but then Black Magic is still kind of proving how good they are in the 2nd place here. Azult finishing in 3rd place. Now, that was the frosting bracket. The cake bracket, Kraken United ended up winning there, going 3-2 against Frequency. Inked finishing in 3rd place in that tournament. Again, it's like SOS and Flutie combined. Your groups are placed with teams that are around your skill level instead of just doing like traditional Great White teams and Lantern teams together. So it's a little bit more closer to what your true skill level is when you play in that thing. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Sendouq Q. Everybody's favorite letter, Q, now combined with everybody's favorite bald guy in the competitive scene. Sendouq, to create possibly the best experience you've ever had. The unofficial sponsor, I guess we should say, of the weekly recap here on the Popcast. Pixel, I ran out of water. I talked a lot in that Sendouq segment. I didn't drink enough. My throat was running dry. One more segment. We're getting through this one. Little Squid League 19 happened on Sunday. And just one more time. Glaucus. The Blue Glaucuses. Another Sunday tournament for LSL. Probably not ideal, but again, this is kind of where this Nintendo shenanigans Nintendo just pulling tournaments out of their butts kind of hurts the rest of us. Where it's like, oh, wait, I kind of wanted to do a tournament this day. Oh, wait, you're just announcing with no heads up that there's going to be a tournament at this day and time? Okay, I guess I'll move then. So Little Squid League, I'm assuming, moved because of Nintendo to Sunday. But as we've shown in the past, low-level teams will come out for a tournament on Sunday. It might not be their ideal time. Obviously, Saturday is probably ideal. But if you can get 30 teams to come out for your tournament on a Sunday, that means, A, your tournament's good and people respect it. And B, it means that you can do tournaments. Don't really have a point there. You can do a tournament on Sunday. Ash Cup was the first tournament to do a low-level tournament on a Sunday, and it made everyone realize, I guess we can do it too. Little Squid League's done a lot of Sunday tournaments. And again, it's never been ideal. It's just because they always get their spot taken from them by some big monster who just comes in. Mainly Nintendo most of the time. Little Squid League, whenever they can get their tournaments in, still running strong. What else? Can I come up with a new adjective to describe how good the stream is? I mean, I don't think I can. I think I've used every one in the book at this point. The stream is good. This is why stream is good. That's all I'm going to say. Let's take a look at the groups. Silver bracket, top cut. We'll call it a day. Group A, and we're getting the jank done right out of the way, aren't we? The 2-1, the circle of suck. Everybody taking a game off of each other, so who moves on the top cut and who doesn't? The tiebreaker this time around is really easy to figure out because Sommerzeit got a 3-0 win over Absolute Zero, and all the other matches were 2-1, so Sommerzeit technically has more like personal wins. And since Absolute Zero got 3-0'd, they have less wins than Marine Melody did, who took a game off of whoever beat them. I guess Absolute Zero beat them. So it's real easy to do the tiebreaker here for these two to move on. But yeah, you always like these little, everybody finished, that team beat that team. But in this situation, Sommerzeit beat one of their wins, their only win, a lot better than the other team. And if you're wondering here, you're doing math, you're saying Popgun. This doesn't add up. The wins and losses don't add up. They all got a win because of a bye. So they just include like a mystery team down here, who went 0-3 and got a win for all these teams. But still, Sommerzeit moving on. One of the more easier, surprisingly enough, one of the more easier names for me to pronounce. If you don't include all this headboard mashing into a keyboard that is at the end here. The Blue Glaucuses, who ended up winning this whole tournament. I'm assuming that, this group actually went as scripted here. The Blue Glaucuses was the number 1 seed, Murder Inc. 2, and just straight as scripted. No real surprises there in Group B. Irida, another team I've learned how to pronounce. It's not iRide, it's Irida. You would like to see them kind of get back into that alpha bracket because there was a point where they were threatening to win this one. Unfortunately, they didn't. I guess this isn't like a tougher group here. I guess it is worth kind of pointing out that groups are seeded very clearly from 1 down to like snakes. So like this is like the number 1 and number 16 and number 17 teams in this groups here for this one. And there's a new feature, like Battlefy got a patch to where it can do snake grouping. I think before you had to if you were to seed your groups by snaking wise, you had to do it by hand. I think Battlefy does that automatically now. So groups across all tournaments should be a little bit more even as far as like actual seeding goes. I'm not the one who does Battlefy stuff for IPL, so don't quote me if I'm wrong. But I've seen that kind of pop up in some TO servers, people being excited about that. Group C, the Sneaky Sharks, able to sneak into Top Cut here with a small upset over Hidden Radiance of the Dawn. Surf and Turf in this 3-team group, surprising nobody going to 3-0. Obviously, we're going to talk about Surf and Turf again in a couple of minutes because they did really well in Top Cut. But Sneaky Sharks are the team that made the technical upset, if you just go by the seedings here, knocking a spot away from Hidden Radiance of the Dawn. Ooh, Fish. I talk about these guys every single time they sign up in a tournament because they're constantly improving. Proof in the Ooh Fish pudding right here, going 3-0. Cosmic Court, I believe, being the surprise team here, taking a spot away from the seeded team that's supposed to make top cut. The Purdue Air Launchers, no longer the psychedelic Air Launchers because they're actually sponsored by the university, so they need Purdue in their name somewhere. So Purdue, not quite there just yet, but they're grinding. They're grinding. Now, Splat-A-Lot A, one of the best, or the best Splat-A-Lot team, not to be confused with Splat A, Lot B, or Splat-A-Lot C, or D, E, or F, which I think there is. Is there a Splat-A-Lot G in the works? I'm wondering. But Splat-A-Lot A is one of the best teams in the little squiddly circuit that we have right now. I think they made beta bracket at one point as well. Going 3-0 here. The team making the surprise over the Rising Hope 2 working title is the Je Croutons. The surprise team coming into their first tournament, I think, under this name at least, getting the spot over them and the Jumping Jellyfishes. Group F. The real highlight of this one was the match that was on stream. One of the best matches that was on stream. Obviously the best one for the group stage. The Boston Squid Party taking on Hook, Line, and Sinker, going into a game 3 where winner makes top cut and loser makes silver bracket. Obviously, if you look at their standings here, Hook, Line, and Sinker was able to win that game 3 using double dapples. Oh, it's, people praise Low Level for not using meta things. And this is why we kind of point out you want to play teams better than you to kind of expose why things don't work. Double dapples, if looks cool on paper, but if you have one Nautilus on the other team, you are going to drop a 30 bomb on that. I'm sorry. But hey, if the other team's not using the meta either, and you're just have more of a true fight of whatever your best favorite weapon is, you do get a fun match on stream. And Hook, Line, and Sinker with double dapples on Piranha Pit Clams, able to squeak out the win and sneak into, I guess, hold their spot in top cut. I think they were seeded to finish up there anyways. The Group G, Indiglow, took a blow from the Vampire Squids as the number 1 seed here, but they were still able to keep their spot into top cut. Again, it's kind of like alpha bracket. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just make alpha bracket. You don't have to go 6-0, and sometimes going 6-0 is a bad thing. So Indiglow, yeah, sucks that they took a loss, but good enough to get into top cut. Anyways, as you can see here, Cake has dropped. I love it when tournaments put in parentheses drop. This kind of stuff really helps for low ink verification. Like, whoa, why did this low ink team beat that team? And then you see in parentheses, oh, they dropped. Okay, that makes sense. Sometimes teams get like suspicious 3-0s and it's because of a drop and it's not inherently clear that team dropped. So as somebody who does a lot of verification work, I appreciate this. I mean, nobody's going to be, if you beat Cake, nobody's getting banned from low ink, but still, just in general, I like it when TOs do this kind of thing. Group H. In theory, when you do snakes, this is your closest one, your closest seeded group. You're going to have like an 8-9 seed and then like a 17 and 19 seed or something like that. You're going to have like two of the most competitive matches here. And you see, I don't think this went as scripted. Objectively wacky octopods getting a spot. Good to see Bamboo Dragons. Once again, this is one of the older teams. Surf and Turf's been around a lot longer than them, but Bamboo Dragons, I feel like they've been playing in Little Squid League for over a year now. You want to see a team like this consistently make top cut here, if not eventually win it at some point. Looking into silver brackets, again, if you finish in the top 2, you moved on the top cut. You finish in the bottom 2, you move on the silver bracket. Simple enough. Hey, you don't have to do Swiss in every single tournament. I like group stage as well. It works out here. Little Squid League doing group stage works out really well. Silver bracket, we'll look at it real quickly. I don't know what this is. Rising Hope 2. I don't understand what this is. You look at it, it's still some of the same play. Like, I know Shmeeb and I want to say Sakura were on the original Rising Hope, which was like a contender. I think I put them in my low ink top 10 at one point. They didn't make top cut here, but took care of business. Boston Squid Party looked like they gave them a little bit of trouble, but other than that, they were able to just kind of roll right through and win silver bracket, which I would assume they would do. It just took a tough loss somewhere along the way that knocked them down to silver bracket. Teams that finished, Absolute Zero here finished in third place. I streamed one of their matches. They did a Ludi semifinals match. I forget against who, but I know they 5-0'd them, and Absolute Zero played really well in that set, finishing in third place here, getting a quality win over E-Rita in the third place match, who almost beat Hidden Radiance of the Dawn here. Hidden Radiance of the Dawn, they finished in fourth place in the last Little Squid League silver bracket, moving up to second place here. But yeah, Rising Hope, I'm assuming they're a lot better than silver bracket of Little Squid League, and they kind of proved it here, 4-0 in Hidden Radiance of the Dawn in the finals. But again, silver bracket, you like that this is here. This is why teams sign up, because they know after the group stage there's going to be something they can play for regardless of where they finish. And good, not a lot of tough losses for Boston Squid Party, but this is a newer team in the last low link, and it's good to see them threatening to beat some of these teams here. Quality losses, I guess you could say. That's been a topic of conversation on Twitter the past week. Top cut. Looking here. J Croutons beating. Oh, I guess chat's kind of blank. J Croutons getting a close win and a tough loss to Ink in the System, who finished in third place here. Probably a fun name to pronounce, J Croutons. Other than the top four, I don't think there's anything particular I wanted to point out here. Obviously, Zamerzite and Bamboo Dragons having a close set here before going on stream against Murder Inc. This set was on stream. The Blue Glaucuses and Ink in the System was a good set to see. And of course, I guess I should point out that semifinals and finals was commentated by Brush and Falco Flyer, two people I love commentating with. Two very good play-by-play callers. You would like to see one of them paired up with like a color analyst, though. But like those two are the future of commentary. I guess they're not the future; they're the present. They've been commentating long enough now to where they're regulars, and I mean they're a good duo to put on for grand finals. It's good to see LSL getting some high quality commentators on the back end there for these tournaments, combined with Jub streaming. The top four here. First off, Murder Inc. finishing got eliminated in round 2, the last Little Squid League that they played in, which was Little Squid League 16, which I believe was the November one from the past. Finishing in fourth place here. Again, beating Zamerzite. I guess this Vampire Squid matchup was a drop, but still, this is a quality win for them as well. Taking a game off of Ink in the System, the team that finished in third place. Speaking of Ink in the System, no surprise that they got third place here, considering how close they were on stream with the team that won the whole tournament, the Blue Glaucuses. Ink in the System, a team we want to keep an eye on going forward. I usually say that and then never keep an eye on that team. But Ink in the System, I did watch this match against the Blue Glaucuses. Really close, really great match. Just in the end, this team's just a little too strong in that final game there. Taking third place into this tournament. Let's talk about these two teams here. Yes, Surf and Turf versus the Blue Glaucuses. This is a rematch, and I'm glad the commentators pointed this out. You like it when commentators do research and they recognize things, rather than just going on and being like, so what do you know about these two teams, Tommy? And Tommy's like, I don't know anything, but I like to play Charger, and it'd be really cool if one of these teams played Charger. It's like, no, that's not... tell the audience isn't going to be invested if you don't know what the heck you're talking about. They knew what they were talking about, and they pointed this out. This is a rematch from Gamut Bracket of last month. Last month's lowing, I guess last weekend's lowing. Surf and Turf falling to Blue Glaucuses there as well. This match was a good match to kind of highlight for counter picks. Again, the importance of winning game 1 to where you get to control, like all you got to do is win on your counter picks and you're good. Because both teams were winning on their counter picks until it got to game 6, where Surf and Turf picked Rainmaker, and they just got Rainmakered. Blue Glaucuses hold on to the Rainmaker in mid for like 45 seconds, and before they exploded, decided to just cut left, and just somehow Surf and Turf just fell asleep, and they just got behind them, and the game's over at that point, and a huge lead that's so hard to overcome. So it just comes down to it just came down to the Surf and Turf just falling asleep at just the wrong time, and then the set's over. Otherwise, this is just a close set back and forth where teams just kept winning on their own picks. For Surf and Turf in general, I mean, they knocked out Splat-A-Lot, going 3-0 against them here in the semifinals. And that's significant because Splat-A-Lot is the team that finished in second place last Little Squid League, and I believe made a beta bracket at some point. So this is a very quality win for Surf and Turf, and that kind of propelled them to 3-0 in Murder Inc. And then just almost getting the better end of their quote-unquote new rival that we're trying to force on these two teams since they keep playing in grand finals of tournaments, the Blue Glaucuses. So for Surf and Turf, again, I kind of talked about them last week. It's been a long rebuild because they were like a beta bracket caliber team, and then they just kind of fell apart last year and had to like rebuild and kind of fell off the face of the earth. But they're back now. It's good to see teams have redemption stories. This is a good redemption story for Surf and Turf. They're really close. They're really close to getting back to who they were, that beta bracket style team. The last 2 weekends kind of proved that. It's just been the one team that's been the thorn in their side. And actually, I'm going to look this up. Real quick off stream. Did Surf and Turf lose to anybody other than the Blue Glaucuses in that beta bracket of Low Inc? I guess while I'm looking that up, I can talk about the Blue Glaucuses here. Gamma bracket champs, LSL champs. They're better than the teams that's at their tier level. They've proven that 2 weeks in a row. They're better than everybody that's at their same kind of... If whatever tier you want to put low ink teams in, whatever tier Blue Glaucuses is in, they're at the very top of that particular tier. How did they take the next step? Well, I went back and looked at their low ink. They went 2-4. Here's the teams that beat them in Swiss of that low ink that knocked them down the Gamma bracket. Kraken United, fair loss. Squid Killers, that's a fair loss. Illumini and No Name Brand. No Name Brand being a team that signed up for this Little Squid League and checked in but didn't play in the group, so I'm assuming they dropped right after they checked in or something like that. But their other 3 losses are convincing losses to alpha bracket teams, and that's where we need to see the Blue Glaucuses take the next step. They need to start beating those alpha bracket, beta bracket level teams to get up to that next level that we usually see Little Squid League teams get up to after they win a Little Squid League, getting into alpha bracket. I'll have to go back and look, but I think we have a streak of like 3 or 4 teams winning Little Squid League and then instantly getting into alpha bracket. If not like going 4-2 and falling to beta bracket or something like that. So Blue Glaucuses, and after seeing them play on stream and getting a sense of what they actually are, you get the sense like, okay, I know what this is now. It's a Tetra team. We haven't seen Tetra teams in low level since like late 2020, where it just seemed like you had to have a Tetra player on your team in order to win Low Inc. So it's good to see Tetras make a little bit of a comeback. And it's not just, I'm going to use Tetras as my main. No, the rest of your teammates have to buy into the play style of your Tetra player just dying like 20 times in a match, but getting trades and just being an annoying fly so that the rest of your team can kind of swarm in. Tetra teams are a 4-player mindset that everyone has to buy into. But they're still fun to see because it's a little bit different. You do see there are like a couple of high-level Tetra players. It's not a horrible weapon. Again, you just got to build your team around that Tetra, and you can make it work. And I didn't... Battlefy was being slow, so I don't know that stat about Surf and Turf. But still, Blue Glaucuses. Want to see what they do in the next low wing. I don't want to see them go back to Game and Bracket. I want to see them make beta. I want to see them make alpha and start beating some of these Kraken United, Squid Killers, Illumini teams I kind of pointed out that kind of gatekept them in the last low ink. Because everybody else that they're playing, they're just going to beat straight up. That's at their skill level. Congratulations to them. They're the Little Squid League 19 champions. I guess we'll see them at the next Invitational, which is the thing Little Squid League does every now and then. Oh, and I didn't even move this arrow. So that's it. That's the end of this lengthy episode of the Popcast, episode 103. That's going to do it for us here. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Maybe more Sendouq stuff. because that's all I'm gonna do this week. I played 15 matches last weekend. That stuff's fun. Sendouq is addicting. It's really addicting. It's awesome. If you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, maybe you want me to clarify something I said instead of just taking something I said out of context and sharing it as misinformation, which a lot of you like to do. Maybe you want to just tell me something about your team. I don't know. Feel free to reach out to me. My socials below. Twitter, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, #5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun. We got through it. I don't recognize any of these people. Let's go to Matt and Ches. Let's just see what that is. Matt and Cheese. Say hi to that guy, I guess. Get vaccinated. Keep wearing your masks. Stay safe. Don't die. Enjoy life. It's awesome.